So, sisters, we are in summer, the season of the mother archetype in woman, the season focused on the wonderful physical material realm, the body, and fulfillment in the body. But when we become too focused on bodily and material fulfillment, when fulfillment goes out of balance, we call that addiction or dependency. The root cause of physical dependency on substances is over-identification with the physical world. The dependent person has forgotten, has lost consciousness to the reality that the physical world is an outpouring from the non-physical, and that their body is an outpouring of their soul in the non-physical dimension, pouring into the physical dimension. The greater part of your being resides in the non-physical, and just a small part of you enjoys the physical. And that small part of you is not insignificant. The body is not insignificant at all. No, it's magnificent, and it is a great source of pleasure and joy and evolution and learning. But the body is tiny compared to the totality of you. The physical body, the smaller part of you, can do one of two things. It can either maintain the ability to stay connected to the non-physical larger portion of what you are, or it can go numb to that connection. It can ignore that larger part of oneself and focus solely on the physical. And indeed, our culture pushes us to numbness and disconnection from this larger part of ourselves. And this choice creates a path that grows narrower and smaller and more difficult, and pretty much always ends up in miserable decline and death in the body. At which point, the non-physical being that you are reclaims everything. You are released from your attachment to the physical, as it should be, as it needs to happen. And your soul starts again to make a new set of choices. Or not, doesn't matter. You'll get there eventually. You're eternal. You have all the time in the world to choose your experiences. But in the meantime, the addicted person in the body suffers. I am convinced that life is meant to be a joyful journey. I was told all sorts of things when I was a child, that there was nobility and pain, and that struggle ennobled the soul, and all of that. But it's all a lie. It's all just a lie. Life is meant to be a joyful journey with choice making that results in ever increasing possibilities for joy. The no pain, no gain thing is bullshit. It's a lie told to us to control us and to get us to accept the unacceptable. The unacceptable is that our dominator model culture creates unnecessary pain in humans in order to control and profit from it. So we can live in joy. We can evolve and grow in joy. Life does not require pain. Patriarchy requires your pain, but life does not. Source does not. Source, some call Source Goddess, doesn't matter what you call it. Source just asks for our consciousness. Source invites our joy. When you are dependent upon a substance, it means that you are not able to make use of something called the discretionary mind. So, what is the discretionary mind? The discretionary mind is part of the human soul. And humans have the ability to access it, whereas most animals cannot. Animals have souls, of course, we know this, but most of them don't have access to what would be called discretionary mind. The behavior of most animals is driven by instinct. They live as they must, as they are compelled to by their natures that were created by Mother Nature. So discretionary mind is the faculty that humans can access to choose to conduct life as we wish. There goes Devi up his climbing pole. Stop making noise, Devi. Discretionary mind is the faculty that humans can access to choose to conduct life as we wish, not as we are compelled to by instinct or by conditioning. Discretionary mind is the power used, for example, when a starving mother chooses to give her food to her children. Instinct drives her to want to eat the food herself, of course, but she transcends this drive with her discretionary mind and makes the decision against her own human body and her own human will in order that she may give food to another, because her sole decision to give life to her children is actually stronger even than her own body's drive to survive. Discretionary mind is what you use to make choices involving long-term gain over short-term pleasure. For this example, this mother, her short-term pleasure would be in just eating the food. The long-term gain is in knowing that her beloved children have a better chance at life. Discretionary mind is the choice-making part of the soul. The physical body alone knows pretty much only three things: preservation, procreation, and pleasure. The physical body has a drive to preserve itself, to eat, to sleep, to run from, or to fight danger. The physical body has a desire to procreate, to have sex. The physical body has a deep desire for pleasure and comfort. Not just pleasure as in sex or food, but an overall sense of pleasantness in the body, a feeling of well-being in the body. The belly comfortably full, no part of the body in pain, total mobility, a sense of energy in the body, the enjoyment of pleasing tastes and sounds and touch and sights and smells, a feeling of security in the environment, safety in the body. This is really all the body knows, but we know we are not just a body. The body is only a small part of our totality. The discretionary mind that can choose is also part of who we are. But if we forget the non-physical part of ourselves, if we become too attached to only the physical, if we identify only with the physical, it tends to create addiction because we are misled and we fall into the body's basic traps of preservation, procreation, and pleasure. We think that if a little of the substance brings pleasure, then more of a substance will make us feel even better. But we all know from our own experience, not just intellectually, but from our own actual lived experience, those of us who have had some alcohol in our lives, talking about just alcohol for now, most people have had the experience of having one drink and feeling pleasantly relaxed in the body. Then having a second drink, trying to become even more relaxed, to have even more of that feeling, chasing the hope of more of that same kind of initial pleasure. But we have all experienced how continued drinking through the night never actually recaptures that first feeling of relaxed pleasantness. It never does. You keep drinking, you keep trying, but at least for that evening, you never get that original feeling back. That feeling, that fleeting feeling of pure pleasure. You never get it back. Isn't that true? It is a truism that that which you resist persists. And why is this so? Well, particularly with addiction, many people try to use willpower, which involves a feeling of resistance. And this ends up with you in a battle with yourself. It is actually, I know this seems counterintuitive, but it is actually better in the long run to simply take the substance with no guilt and shame than to try to actively resist taking it. Why is this so? The resistance itself actually creates a bigger and bigger, stronger, more powerful, energetic cord between the addicted person and the substance itself, making it increasingly harder to resist as you go along. A good way to start is simply by letting go of all that resistance and by accepting that at this moment in time, it feels like you are dependent. Get your substance of choice in front of you and tell yourself that you will allow that relief in just a moment. But first, you are going to access your discretionary mind. You're going to realize, if just for a moment, your own ultimate power. So ask yourself 3 times, am I choosing at this moment to give my true power away to this inert substance that actually has no power over me in and of itself, by itself? Because if it had power in and of itself, everybody who ever touched that would be addicted. Is that not so? So you say this 3 times, you ask yourself this question 3 times, and then you take a moment to check in. Do you still want the substance? Then go ahead. No shame, no blame, no guilt. Just take it. But repeat this process enough times, and something starts to change in the brain, in the heart, in the mind. You start to realize that you can take back your own power. You start to build your discretionary mind muscles. Your body begins to accept your soul's queenly rule for its own good. Many programs, even programs that work on some level, are focused on structure imposed from the outside. And if you cannot give your own life structure, then choosing to give someone else the power over you, well, it actually can work for a while. Sometimes for decades, or maybe even the rest of this lifetime. You allow someone else to provide your structure for you. It can be related to what you think of as an external higher power that you think of as greater than yourself. It can be required meetings for the rest of your life, accepting the label of you as an alcoholic or drug addict or whatever for the rest of your life. It can be you never touching the offending substance again, all that. So while this can work, and it can even work for a very long time, it is based on thinking of yourself as individually powerless and assigning or giving over your personal power to someone and something else. As I say, this can seem to work for a while, but take the support away and the addicted person can crash. I know so many people, including members of my own family, who were fine as long as there were all kinds of external support in place, external support structures in place for them to rely on to control their behavior. But ultimately, what is needed is not control, but consciousness. Letting someone else provide your structure for you can be helpful for a while, but it is not ultimate truth. Ultimately, you and only you are in charge of your own soul's journey, experience, evolution, both in and out of the body. You cannot remain a child with some authority telling you what to do, where to go, how to think, how to identify yourself for the rest of your life. Well, you can, but then you die, then you get a new life, and then you have to find a new authority. Wherever you go, there you are. So deal with it now. Or give it up. Accept that you are responsible for the outpouring of your soul into the physical, into your body, and only then can you begin to connect with the power of discretionary mind, which allows you to go beyond your biology, beyond your DNA, beyond your chemistry, beyond your physicality, beyond your instincts for temporary relief. Consciousness allows you to craft your life from a dimension other than the one you accept now. You are a spiritual, emotional, physical, experiencing being, but the dependent person is turning the magnificent body into something else. Alcohol, nicotine, drugs, even sugar is poison in enough quantities. And taking too much of any of these things is turning your body into a poison processing machine. Every time you are preparing to drink more than is healthy, you are actually telling yourself that you are not a spiritual, emotional, physical being of worth, but rather that you are a poison intake machine, a poison processing machine. How ugly. So before drinking or doing drugs or even eating too much cake, the addicted person can ask herself, do I think of myself as a poison processing machine? Is that really what I am? Is that really what my life is about? Is that really what this body is meant to do? And so ask yourself this 3 times, and then if the answer is yes, then take your substance. Don't try to resist it and thereby create an even stronger connection. Just relax and take your substance. People can go a long time resisting using their power of will, but in the end, human will usually fails and the person drops back into abusing their substance of choice. Resistance is never the path to power. Dependency, of course, is widely thought to be self-medication for pain, and that is true. But most human beings are in some degree of pain somehow for some part of their life at times, whether it's physical or psychological or mental or emotional, whatever. It is more important to recognize that addiction is self-medicating not just to eliminate pain, but to achieve the ecstatic experience. I don't think that human beings were meant to live in ecstasy 24/7. There are many other things to do here on this plane as well, besides experience ecstasy. But I believe that we were naturally created to experience ecstasy regularly. Indigenous peoples do. The kind of ecstasy that comes from deep communion with and connection to all life, the kind of ecstasy that I have seen in the jungle with a tribe of very natural people drumming and dancing and singing together, the kind of ecstasy that almost all of us have experienced with like the best sex ever with someone you were deeply, deeply in love with, the kind of spiritual ecstasy that people normally have when they experience that magical sense of oneness with all life. But if you have never had a true ecstatic experience, and you will know if you have had one, and many people in American culture never have even come close to feeling that, then if you've never had that experience, that ecstatic spiritual experience, you will seek it in physical substances because it's a drive. It's a natural drive. It's something humans are meant to experience. Something deep in you knows that you are meant to have these experiences at least once in a while. Isn't it interesting that alcohol is also called spirits and that there is a drug called ecstasy? Well, these are sort of hidden clues. But these physical substances are fakes, they're imitators, and I won't even call them substitutes because they don't even come anywhere near being an actual substitute. Substitute means something very much like another thing, and they're not. They don't anywhere near provide anything like the actual ecstasy of the true spiritual experience of being alive and present to the now moment. And it's not just that they don't truly deliver on the ecstasy promise, it's that the simulation, the fakeness, eventually harms the body. Alcohol in enough quantities punches holes in your etheric. As the subtle body, the etheric, becomes more and more degraded and ripped to shreds, the less strength you have as a person to make good choices, the less ability you have to access your soul's discretionary mind capabilities. The more in touch you are with discretionary mind, the less that physical substances actually affect you. There are many stories of self-realized people taking alcohol or drugs, yet feeling little effect, showing no effect. Develop your powers of discretionary mind, and attraction to physical substances starts to fall away naturally, mostly because you notice their effects less and less, so kind of what's the point? And you're not attracted anymore. We are hardwired as human beings, as physical human beings, to want to seek to know the ecstatic spiritual experience. And when we live as we do in a completely unnatural culture that refuses to provide the conditions for the possibility of it to us, we unwittingly, not knowing any better, we do the best we can, we turn to the fake that this culture does provide. And in dependency, there's often a lot of weight placed on individual choice, which ends up sounding a lot like blame. You know, if only he would choose to have more discipline, if only she would exercise more self-control. And a more modern line of thought that's been held for very progressive people for the last few years is, it's not her fault, it's a disease, or he has the gene for alcoholism. Both of these points of view ignore a very important truth, that our culture is specifically designed to lead us away from the possibility of spiritual ecstasy and towards its cheap, profitable, and purchasable imitators. Do you imagine for one moment that the patriarchal mindset is going to actually encourage you to have a completely free, costing absolutely nothing, available, free of charge, a completely free ecstatic experience that makes them not one thin dime when they can redirect your attention to physically addictive substances that they can manufacture, that they can control, that they can tax, that they can profit from? Alcohol, drugs, caffeine, iPhones, clothing, for you shopaholics, profit from your natural and healthy human drive for the ecstatic experience. Do you think they are going to give up that power willingly? No. You must go find it within yourself. When you allow yourself to be directed away from the seeking of your own personal ecstatic spiritual experience and towards their fake synthetic imitators that break your body down, let's remember, which, by the way, let's also remember, allows them to make even more profit in the now necessary medical treatment, very expensive, and rehab centers. If you do this, you are falling into the patriarchal trap of dominator model slavery. Freedom is a state when nothing is driving you. Most people think they're free, but in reality, their choices are driven largely by hidden compulsions. We should not seek to control addiction. We should seek simply to become more conscious, and addiction will melt away on its own. When awareness is just too painful, we often seek to numb our awareness with drugs or alcohol to just shut it down. When we have been too long in the emotional pain of abuse or violence or neglect or abandonment or lack of love or a miserable job we hate or a loveless marriage or disrespecting kids or hopelessness about improving our future, whatever it is, when we've been in emotional pain for too long, our physical bodies experience the pain of that because the body and the emotions are inextricably tied together. And the body is screaming at us, no more pain, I cannot take any more, just shut it down any way you can. I don't care how you do it, shut it down. But we see where this gets us. Rather than shutting the body down to numb its pain with alcohol and drugs, rather than attempting to imitate the feeling of the ecstatic spiritual experience with physical substances that don't actually provide us with that, a better choice is to open ourselves up to more consciousness about our lives. More consciousness, more awareness is what is needed, not less. Seek not control over addiction, seek more consciousness in every moment, and the addiction will resolve itself. Ask yourself, do you wish to be a capable person as you go through life? Because most people do. We want to be capable and competent. We want to meet life with a feeling of confidence and a sense of our own powerful capabilities. What gives us joy is not having no problems in life. What gives us joy is being able to meet everything with capability, with good power, with confidence. Dependence on physical substances eventually will make you incapable of meeting life fully. And so when you are about to indulge in your preferred substance, ask yourself, how much does this diminish my capability to meet life joyfully? And am I okay with that? Ask yourself this 3 times. Really check in to hear the answer deep inside you. And then whatever the answer is, make your choice without any shame or guilt, because shame and guilt are 2 of the most damaging states to your body, mind, spirit, heart, soul possible. Dependency is a wake-up call and an invitation to initiation into greater power, greater life power. We all know that the most powerful shamans are the ones who have been through everything and come out the other side intact, strong, and whole. The most powerful shaman women are the women who are most conscious, no matter what they've been through, and maybe especially because they've been through so much, and they've chosen life through it all. Before every activity, check in with yourself about your level of consciousness in that moment. The greatest ecstatic experience is total connectedness and total consciousness, total awareness. There is nothing better than that. I guarantee you, nothing better than that. No drug, no pill, no sex, no outfit, no cigarette, nothing is better than the ecstatic spiritual experience. There's no substitute for it. You don't need to seek it. It's already living inside you. You need to drop the blocks that prevent the ecstatic experience from flowing easily through you. And nothing in this culture will help you do this. In fact, everything in this culture will try to lead you away from the ecstatic spiritual experience. And it's not your fault. It's not your fault that you live in this insane culture of pain and profiteering and pollution. It's not your fault, but it is your responsibility to meet it with as much power as you can. And the pain and pollution and profiteering of patriarchy can be transcended, even while remaining in this culture, being in the world, but not of it. So make your gift to humanity your own ability to be conscious and capable every moment that you can. If you are abusing alcohol or opioids, you are seeking to numb your pain. Allow more consciousness in each moment. Let yourself feel your pain and let it flow through you like a river. It will go eventually. If you are abusing drugs like ecstasy, you are seeking the ecstatic spiritual experience. Forget the pills. There is no real ecstasy in synthetic drugs created in a lab. Spend more time outdoors in nature. Nature is usually pretty close to ecstasy. If you are abusing technology like your phone or Facebook or the internet, if you're internet addicted, you are seeking connectivity. Connectivity is ultimately not found in fake friends or information on a screen. Spend more time with friends and family and actual human beings in real life. Spend time with animals. If you are abusing sugar with too many soft drinks or candy, you are seeking sweetness in your life, and sugar is never going to bring you the sweetness you need. So think about what is sweet for you, what you consider sweetness in life to be, and open your life to that, whatever that is for you. Could be music, could be more time with companion animals, could be coloring with your kids. If you are abusing caffeine with too much coffee or Coca-Cola or Excedrin, you are seeking energy. Energy is not found in these substances. Energy comes to you as you drop the blocks to energy, the resistance to life, the complaints, the grumpiness, as you stop thinking about how exhausting and long your to-do list is, and as you focus on the joy of the now moment and doing one task at a time very well, very consciously. If you're a shopaholic, you are seeking the quick fix of a shiny new image. Make your real self so shining, so radiant, that new clothes become extraneous. If you're a gambling addict, you are seeking gain without offering value. Consider the value that you actually do offer the world right now. Maybe it's not as much as your soul knows it could be. So let yourself feel the satisfaction that comes from offering something to the world of great value, whether that's your knowledge or your talent or your wisdom, whatever it is, and start to offer that without worrying about compensation. Compensation will come later. Start to give first. Give real value. If you're addicted to online porn, you are holding the slaver's mentality of dominating and humiliating others, of treating others as objects for your gratification. You think personally, secretly, deep in your heart, you think that you are nothing, but you hide from that, from knowing that, from admitting that, and in so doing, you project that onto others and make others nothing, make others your puppets to control. So let yourself feel your nothingness and then move through it and allow your consciousness to help you go beyond that, because it will. It will. You will not be left alone in that. Your consciousness will help you go beyond that into knowing that you are everything. If you're addicted to pot, you are probably escaping from a burdensome sense of duty, the burden of life. It's like a little rebellion against the man, against the system, against what you have to do to get by in this world. Look into that. What burdens have you accepted that are not actually yours? If you are a workaholic, you are believing that your worth is in what you produce in the world, in what you do in the world, in how successful you are. You feel you have no intrinsic value. So expand your consciousness to know that every created thing has inherent value. Source makes nothing that is without value. Source is divine, and the divine only makes divine things, so you are divine. You do not have to work to earn your place in this world. You do not have to work to earn your right to take up space in this world. You do not have to work to earn your right to breathe the air of this world. Humans are caught in a seeming conundrum. We need to be grounded here on earth in the body, because we live in a physical body, but we also have, every one of us, an intense desire to feel boundless, a deep longing to know ourselves as free, as boundless, as without limitation, as one with everything, able to go anywhere. And in seeking this, we often go down a lot of wrong paths. We all want our life experience to be more, so much more than the mundane going to work, taking care of kids, eating, sleeping, paying the bills, and then getting up and doing it all over again. We humans are experience hunters, and particularly ecstatic experience hunters. We are here in our human body, but we are seeking to be boundless, to know all creation, experience all of it, be one with all of it. So, even if you've gone down a few wrong paths, as I have in my life, don't resist this desire for the ecstatic experience. Don't let any results of going down the wrong path put you off of the intention to allow the ecstatic experience in your life. Seek it in every way you can, and really don't look for it, just allow it. But seek the real thing, not the imitations. We can be both boundless and in the body. So be boundless by exploring your personal sense of spirituality. Be boundless by being willing to know the truth of yourself, no matter how ugly you have been told it is, because it isn't. Be boundless by asking yourself to expand your consciousness about your attraction to substances and why this is occurring. Be boundless by being in nature. Be boundless by gazing up at the stars at night. Be boundless by being in the now moment with all of its magic. That really is true intoxication. Blessed be. So let your eyes fall closed for the meditation, if you're willing. Relaxing completely, your body warm and comfortable as a peaceful meadow in summertime. I know my body to be an outpouring of my soul. I know all physical existence is being constantly born of Source, from the non-physical. I know myself as this Source. I know myself as both body and soul. I know myself as both heart and mind. I know myself as one with all life. I know myself as eternal, as all life is eternal. I know life can be a joyful journey of exploration and experience and evolution. I know Source invites my joy. She welcomes it. I am in deep communion with my own soul and discretionary mind that chooses, choosing the best for myself always. I resist nothing, and I am conscious of everything. I relinquish any battles, and I settle into the reality of my innate goodness and power. I choose to keep my power at all times. I accept my queenly power to rule my life for my own benefit and good. I let go of control in favor of increased consciousness. I accept that I am responsible for the outpouring of my soul into the physical. I accept that I am responsible for my sacred body. I consciously craft my life from a dimension even more powerful, real, and beneficial than what I live now. I joyfully allow the authentic, ecstatic spiritual experience into my life and body, into my heart and soul, into my mind and being. I am truly free to make the best choices possible. As I become increasingly more conscious, all compulsions drop away from me easily and gracefully. I am a joyfully capable person. I meet life with a feeling of confidence and good power. I allow myself now to step into greater life power. I am a shaman woman of power, priestessing my own life. The ecstatic spiritual experience flows through me naturally, easily, gracefully, powerfully. I am both grounded on earth and as boundless as the stars. I seek the real, the true, at all times. My gift to humanity is my ability to be conscious and capable, a courageous, conscious queen. I am Source. I am that I am. Blessed be.